Get the fuck out of here. You know what? Make mistakes is fucking cool. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. It is time to get fired. Let's go! Hello everyone, I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Ah, goodness me. I'm out of breath a little bit. I recorded a couple of takes for that intro, fuck me. Making mistakes, falling over, fucking up. We're all terrified of it as humans for some reason that I can't even explain, if I'm honest. I can't even explain. And this episode's going to be really, really important for anyone who labels themselves or thinks of themselves as a perfectionist. Even on a small scale, maybe you're just a little bit of a perfectionist. People say, oh, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. Well, this episode's for you. It's very easy to label yourself and fall into this identity of, oh, I'm a perfectionist and therefore I do things this way. That's cool, right? I understand that. I believe it can be harmful for you, and I'm going to explain why. And I'm going to offer you an alternative, because I have no problems with someone who says they hold themselves to a high quality. Not that things have to be perfect, but things have to meet a certain level of standard. I have high standards. That's a beautiful thing to say, and I think that's a very intelligent thing to affirm to yourself. I have high standards. I like to do things well. I'd like to have a high level of quality. That makes sense. That's smart. This idea of falling into everything has to be perfect. Is it just you procrastinating and being scared, right? I said something years ago, and I know I ruffled a few feathers with it. Are you really a perfectionist, or are you just afraid? Do you have a fear of looking shit? You have a fear of judgment? Is perfectionism really just fear of judgment in disguise? And you telling yourself it's a good thing, right? Because think of it, why does it have to be perfect? Everyone in the world would have a different level of what perfect is. So why does it need to be perfect for you when most of the time when we're talking about things need to be perfect, it's stuff that other people are going to see? If it's something that no one's ever going to see, why would it matter if it's not perfect? No one's ever going to see it. Right? If it's something that other people are going to see, we have this, oh, well, it needs to be perfect because other people are going to see it. And so what? Do you think they're going to judge you? Right? Your fear of this bad judgment, if you like. The problem with the whole perfectionism issue is it's this need to make everything to this level, which either, I heard this years ago, I heard this, actually it was last year, I heard this. Perfectionism, right, is either an unattainable level, so it's a level that you can never get to, right? Or it is, but it's not attainable on a consistent basis. Right? So if that's the case, why ever aim to be perfect? It is almost the lowest quality standard because you can't replicate it on a consistent basis. And think about this, right? Christopher Nolan, great director. But if I only saw one film, or he only made one film, it's like, I could think he's a good director, but maybe he's only good with a specific style, or he got lucky, or the actors were good. It's hard to sort of say, right? But now that I've seen probably 10 or more Christopher Nolan films, and every single one's been a banger, it's like, well, pretty hard to argue with that. It's like there's a good case to be made that Christopher Nolan's a fantastic director versus, oh, well, that one movie that Christopher Nolan directed is pretty good. Like, I wouldn't even care. But the fact that now I've heard his name on 10 different movies that are like just huge, giant, great movies, great stories, that's where you go, okay, well, he might know what he's doing. And it's the same. If you're in the entrepreneurial space, you're building a business, you're growing an audience. You can't just put out one fucking movie for your audience every year. They're not going to care. It needs to be consistent. So if your level that you aim for is perfect, and that's either not attainable or it's not attainable on a consistent basis, then you're actually aiming for the lowest quality level. Why not just aim for things to just be like, okay, everything has to meet this standard? It's the same as food. I could spend a year making you a perfect burger, right? Probably a year is probably too long. I could spend hours making you the perfect burger, or I could make burgers that are at this level of standard that I'm happy to serve, and I could make 80 of them a day, rather than spend a whole 8 hours making one burger for one person. See how that's going to mean, one, more business, and therefore more cash flow. It's sustainable. Well, you can only serve one customer a day. That's going to be pretty hard. Now, maybe there's a cool business model in there because supply and demand, right? But it's not as easy because how are you going to spread the word, right? Word of mouth. A lot easier if you've got 80 people saying that this is the best burger they've ever had as opposed to one. Because fuck that guy. What does he know about burgers? So from that point of view, it becomes very easy to see, okay, this whole idea of perfectionism, do we need it? Or is it something that's actually holding us back because we're fear of failure, fear of judgment, right? The other cool thing is, and I've mentioned this before, but if you go back to the very start of this podcast, right? The very first episode, it's terrible. The content, what I'm saying is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think. I can't remember it very well. But it's the quality of it's bad. I exported it badly. I uploaded it badly. I recorded it badly. I was using shitty equipment. All those things, right? And for me, I was upset about that. I didn't like that because I'm someone who's a musician. I'm someone who's done a lot of work with audio before. It should have been at a higher quality for my standard. So that was probably below standard if I'm honest. However, what's really cool, and I love this even now, and what are we only like 16, 17 episodes in, right? Very small time frame that we're talking about. But I can literally look at every single episode, and I can look at, even just in the audio, in the intro, in sound effects, in the voice quality, the export quality, little bits and pieces, some audio editing that I've done, where you can start to see, okay, here's the progression of this, and here's where we started using WAV files, and okay, here's where I added the gunshot, you know, and then the first video, and there's issues with that, and then it's cool that, and so what's really cool, even for me to look back on, and for my audience to look back on, is look at where this motherfucker came from. Look at the progression. That's exciting for me, because just say I did the podcast the exact same fucking way every single week, I'd be fucking bored of it. 17 weeks of doing the same thing, or 17 different versions of doing the same. Like, it's kind of boring. Whereas every single time I get to just tweak something small, and you guys probably don't even notice those small things, but then over time, those things start to add up, and it's like, oh man, this guy's like 10x'd it. Like he's done 10 things differently and really brought the level up. And so that keeps it exciting for me. It keeps me engaged because I get to, okay, what can I try? What can I do here? I'll tweak this. I'll edit this. I get to be excited about it. And my audience, you fuckers, you guys get to see that shit. You guys get to see the progression and the growth. There's always something different to watch. And my friend showed me Isaac Butterfield's YouTube the other day, and he's fucking crazy. He's a crack up. I haven't watched enough of his stuff to know if I like him yet, but I was just intrigued. I was like 5 minutes in a video, and then I started to notice. I'm like, what does that say on the back of the thing? You know, and so the whole video I'm engaged, even if I wasn't really listening to what he was saying at times, or he was waffling on, I was a bit bored. There was always something different to see in his background, or something to sort of say, oh, what is that thing over there? Or what's he got here? He's got a little Batman thing here, and what's this? Is that a UFC figure? Like, I was intrigued, you know, and there was something to kind of watch and enjoy and grab onto and to hold my attention. There's something to see. It was enjoyable, right? And so I think that's more important. This idea of having everything perfect. Imagine if every single podcast, every single video that you saw from me was just this perfect thing. It was sort of like, it would get boring after a while because it's just the same thing. And I'd get bored because it'd just be like, oh, it's kind of plug and play. It's the same thing all the time. The fact that I get to kind of experiment and learn and dabble and tweak things and do this keeps me engaged. It keeps me excited. And then because I'm excited all the time, and I'm like, yeah, this next one's better than the last one, I am excited and my energy comes through a lot more on the videos. You can see that. I'm sure it's very obvious when I'm on and when I'm not. And the more and more I tweak things and get excited about what I'm putting out and I'm doing new things, the more engaged I am, the more excited I am, the more fired that I am. And so the more that comes through and the better quality videos I make. And I think that's what's most important. In fact, I think that's more important than aiming for this bullshit fucking perfectionism, which is your little ego telling you that you don't want to fail in front of people because you think they'll judge you. And here's the fucked up thing about that. You only think they'll judge you because you're judging you. So it's not even them, it's you judging yourself because you're thinking and you're pushing it on someone else saying, oh, they're going to judge me. No, you're already judging your fucking self. So if you just back the fuck up, stop judging yourself for a second. Let go of this bullshit perfectionism. And just get it done. It's not the perfect videos that I click on, but imagine going to someone's page, someone's YouTube channel, whatever it is, and or the Instagram, they had one video. Even if it was perfect, you might click follow, but who cares? You're never going to see their content ever again because there's nothing new, there's nothing fresh to come back up into your feed. So this idea of perfectionism's basically a fucking joke, if you ask me. And I'm not saying this as someone who's just trying to attack people with perfectionism. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I love saying that. It's so funny. But I used to be that person, you know. And the problem is you have this clock, right? You have time. We all have time. This clock's just constantly ticking. So you can be perfect all you want, but the clock's always ticking and time's always going to dictate when things have to end. And that's the real big piece to moving through this, is having a deadline, right? Have a deadline on things. So that way it has to be as good as it can be and to a standard by this deadline. If there's any piece of advice I can give you, it's make mistakes and set deadlines. That will fucking ruin your perfectionism fucking thing. Okay? It'll just clear it all together. Because you literally don't have the time to spend on getting things perfect. And you're happy with the idea of making mistakes and just showing people that progression. Perfectionism isn't satisfying to watch. It's not enjoyable. Having yourself and your audience watch you make progress is so much more exciting and engaging to watch. So much more. Like, infinitely fucking more. Infinitely more. So, if you're a recovering perfectionist, if you're someone who wants to achieve a lot of things, and you know that means you've got to make a lot of things and push a lot of pieces of content or whatever it is out there, you have to understand that this idea of perfectionism is the thing that's holding you back. So, set a deadline, give yourself a tight window, and do everything you can to get it to the best level that you can in that time frame. Make it a challenge, make it a game for yourself. Like, I'm going to do the best that I can within that time frame. For instance, I'm recording this video now less than 24 hours after it needs to be live. It needs to be published, ready for people to enjoy. Which means not only do I have to edit the audio, I have to then sync the audio up to the video. I need to color correct the video. I need to edit the video. I need to do all the cuts and the edits, because that's the thing. I don't have a plug and play intro. The intro and the outro is different every single video. And I have effects and everything that has to be consistent, has to line up to the music every single time. That can be really challenging to push that around within a less than 24-hour period. However, I built systems in place so I could have things at a certain quality every single time. Even despite the tight deadline. I know I can record this. I know I can get all the elements, all the video, all the audio into my system, and then later on tonight I can come back and I can edit the fucking thing and have it uploading while I sleep. So it's ready to go at 9 o'clock tomorrow for everybody. Guaranteed. Every time. Because I've built the systems in place, because I'm like, well, I need to get it to this level of quality. I know that level takes a lot of fucking time. So how do I shortcut that and still get the same quality? So now I have a level of quality that things need to be at, and I have a deadline that they need to be done in. And yes, I might make some fucking mistakes, and I'm completely happy with that, because guess what? If I make a mistake and you don't like this week's episode, it doesn't fucking matter. You can tune into next week's episode, because there'll be another one next week. And the next week, and the next week, and the next week, and the next week. That's how you get over the fucking mistake issue. Oh, but what if people judge me and don't like me for this one? Well, too bad. They can fucking come back next week. Because you produce consistently. Because you're not worried about making everything perfect. Make mistakes, fail often, set deadlines, let go of perfectionism, and become a fucking boss. That's it. Done. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Fired Podcast. As always, I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye.
Better late than never. I guess it simply was meant to be. And it's clear for all to see. 1 and 1 makes 3 perfectly. Better late than never for you and me.
Oh, my head's all sweaty like a mum's spaghetti.
The sun will come out there tomorrow. I bet the bottom dollar that tomorrow.
Tomorrow you can fuck off.